Yo guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Been a little bit since I've had a full-length video out. I've been putting lots of short videos out, but I haven't done a full-length one in a while. But winter is over, spring is here, and I'm pretty excited because it's been a long winter, man. I haven't really done anything too crazy to the car over winter, really just general maintenance and stuff. You guys know I run a solid roller cam, so I just kind of turned the motor over, fire it up a couple times. Didn't really do any upgrades this year. I've been pretty busy with the family life and stuff, but the car is ready to go now, so that's kind of a good thing. Actually, I'm not hung up waiting for parts to get it on the road for spring. Spring's here, we're ready to go. But I do need to do a couple things. I need to do an oil change, I need to do a valve lash, and I did actually purchase one thing for the car just to make it a little bit more streetable, and I did pick up a mechanical fan I'm going to put on this thing. You guys, if you've been following along with the channel, you know I just run an electric fan on the front, and it's been great with the Hemi hood. This thing does not get over like 200 on the hottest day in the summer, and traffic is kind of where it's been at. But I decided to put a mechanical fan on it, then I can use the electric fan just as a backup. Just a little bit more streetable because, you know, at 200, I'd still like to see this thing just cruising around at 180 all the time. You know, anybody with a muscle car, you know, you're sitting in traffic and it's getting hot and the thing's just going like this. You're just sitting there watching it. So that should help out. And then I can just flick the electric on if I need a little bit of extra. I do plan to put some more street miles on this than I have in the last couple of years because don't know how much racing I'm going to get done this year just because no track situation. You know, might make a trip to Vancouver, but we'll see. Anyway, so this video, let's we got the car jacked up already. Let's get this oil change going. We'll cut the filter open, of course, check our bearings, make sure everything's looking good in there. And then we're gonna do valve lash too, and I did make a little tool. You'll guys see that, and I can show you what I do and some of the stuff that I use for doing that as well. Because, you know, solid roller, you gotta do valve lash. Nice thing about Mopars, small block Mopar in particular, that shaft rocker system, if you're scared of running a solid roller on the street, you don't really have to be with a small block Mopar because that shaft rocker system, those rockers don't move that much. I always do it once a year if I'm just street driving, and then if I'm racing, I'll do it at the start of the year and then halfway. So, you know, a couple thousand K, couple thousand miles, or like 3 races. And then you can do valve lash. But I'll show you some tips and stuff, and we'll get into it. Let's go. Oh, one thing I should mention too, if you guys have been following along with the Facebook page or the Instagram page, you know I fired it up actually last weekend, and I had an issue. I run Chevron 94 in this thing ever since we went to like 11:1 compression, and it's fine at that level, by the way. 94 is good on the street with these heads and that level of compression, but you know, not firing up a ton over winter. Chevron 94, where I live, always had his tag on it that said no ethanol. Fired it up this year, couldn't get down the block. Something was gumming up the carb. I knew it was in the metering blocks because I could push on the accelerator pump and put the thing around. You get into any sort of like the main jet, fall on its face. AFR would go to like 15, 16, and the thing would start dying. Limped it back home. Ended up pulling the bowls off the carb, and I did find like gelatinous goo and then like a sandy type stuff around the gaskets at the bottom. So I knew right away that the carb was gummed up. Did a clean out of those metering blocks, and it's all good now. So something to be aware of. Watch that ethanol. A lot of guys hit me up after like, oh, you can put an additive in your gas when you store it. That's a good idea too. Some guys are just even draining the bowls. Makes a lot of sense. Next year I'll do something about that for sure. Just a tip. That's the Mylodon 7-quart pan I've been running for the last couple of years. Really nice, fits really good for an A body and works with a stroker application. Oh, a little drip there. Oh. Stays pretty clean under here. Not perfect though. None of them ever are. And I think this is the tray I normally use. We'll find out pretty quick. Got it. A magnetic plug there. Looks like the gasket's a little used. A little bit of like, you know, a little bit of glitter on the magnetic plug there. This is the Summit Racing oil filter cutter. It's a must-have. It works real well. Yep, looks pretty clean in there. Nothing. Like nothing. Yeah. Sweet. Okay, ready for my fresh filter, K&N Gold Series. This is the HP 2004. And then I'm running full synthetic driven 1030. This is their hot rod motor oil. Should work. If you put this back in the box, it'll hold it for you while you pre-fill. Scoresy. Okay, now for the hard part. Oh yeah, there we go. TTI headers are worth it just for that. Okay, plugs in and filters on, nothing left to do but fill her up. When I built these valve covers, or added the AN fitting, there's no actual oil fill. People were asking me where I was going to put the oil, and yeah, I was going to put it through the dash 12 fitting right here. Okay, so oil change done. So we are going to do lash, but I'm actually going to wait till tomorrow to do it because I'm going to do a cold lash rather than a hot lash. The engine's still a little bit warm, so I'm just going to leave it overnight and do a cold lash tomorrow. So we'll see you in the AM. Okay, so the next day we're ready to do some valve lash now. Now I'm going to do a cold lash as opposed to a hot lash. I've never actually done a cold lash. I've always done it hot, but for me it's a little difficult to do a hot lash. You got to warm the car up, get it in here, get set up and everything, and I'm not super quick at doing valve lash either. Some guys can fly through a motor 15 minutes, no problem. I take a little bit longer, so I'm doing one side hot. By the time I get to the other side, it's not quite the same temp, so I never really thought it was that accurate. So I'm going to do a cold lash now. A lot of guys have been talking about this online. And it's a little different than you might think. It's the same process, of course, but you're actually going to lash it 6 thou tighter. And I'm going to do 6 thou because iron block aluminum heads, that's the rule of thumb, is 6 thou tighter than your cam card specs. Now my cam card for this comp cam solid roller is a hot lash at 16 on the intake and 18 on the exhaust, which is actually like a little bit tighter than a lot of other guys run. You see guys mostly in like the 20s or 22 or something like that. But that's what comp specs, so that's what I've always done on the hot lash. So now when we go to do cold, it's going to be 10 and 12, which does seem tight, but as this motor heats up, everything does expand, including that gap in that lash. So we're going to go with the cold lash today. And I'm really kind of excited to show you guys this one thing, something I whittled up at work the other day. I've made a little tray to put on top of the carburetor to hold all my tools and stuff. So let's get that on, and then we get this valve cover off, hook up a remote starter button so I can activate the rockers and the valves on the side of the motor, and then do our lash. So let's take a look at that. Here is that cam card too, for anybody wondering. Any brand new camshaft you comes with one of these, and if you know the part number, I think you can look all these up online too. Anyway, here is that valve adjustment. You can see there what they set up. That's hot. We're doing cold today. There's my lift. Now remember that I have a 1.6 rocker, so the lift is actually like 610 on the motor or something like that. And then there's my duration at 50, 248, 254. I've had this info on a lot of videos, but it is something I get asked all the time. So there is the actual card. Oh man, okay, so that thing is pretty sweet. I made it out of 1/8 aluminum. It's just 1/8 plate, and then I added holes down the side, formed it up to make a box so nothing can roll out. Holes down the side for spark plugs or tools or whatever, bolt in the center so you can tighten her into the carb and it won't wiggle or drop or anything. And it's just 1/8 plate sitting on top of like a carb air intake spacer. So that thing's pretty sweet. I can put all my stuff in there. Oh man, that's soon to be on the website that does not exist, so look for that. Oh, I powder coated it white too, so like everything I put in there is like high vis because all my hardware is like black and stuff. So I was like, oh, I could paint it black or leave it aluminum, but powder coated white, and then it's nice and smooth, and you grab stuff, it'll clean up easy. Sweet. Okay, so a couple tools we got here. We got our feeler gauge preset. I just gotta mark them out. Intake, exhaust, 12 and 10. This guy here, this is real clutch. This is the LSM valve lash tool. This thing is super slick. It's not cheap, but it makes this job very easy. It's preset to the proper torque spec. And then you just pick up a socket for whatever your application is. Mine's a 12 point. Comes with a bunch of these really nifty guys, and it passes, I'll show you this here. It passes straight through. So that's how you make this job easier than using like a box wrench or something. That thing's awesome. Highly recommend that. And then a remote starter button. So this way I just got this hooked up to the starter relay, and then I can bump the motor around. And of course I've pulled my coil wire off, so I'm not sending spark through. Gonna pull the plugs off, of course, get them out the way, and then pull off my ultra wide Mopar performance valve covers that I absolutely love. If you haven't seen, I think I talked about those in a previous episode. Those are super rare, super cool. I love them. Okay, let's get that valve cover off. Oh, behold the glory, the 1.6 Harlan Sharp rockers. Oh, so beautiful. Okay, so we're already starting making our valve lash adjustments now. We're gonna work from the front back. So the first one we're doing is an exhaust. You can see, you can easily identify which is which just because it lines up with an exhaust port. The intakes line up with the intake runner. Very simple. Now the first one we're doing is an exhaust. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch that intake go full open, that's into the chamber, and then just start coming up, and then we know that the camshaft is on the back side of the lobe for our exhaust. We can make our adjustment there. And to do our intake, that's when we're gonna watch that exhaust be closed and then just start opening. That way we're ensuring that the intake is on the back side of the camshaft. Otherwise, no pressure on it at all. So we'll just do a little rotation of the motor here. You can watch the valves move up and down. Just like that. So let's set up that exhaust first. So we're gonna watch that intake go full open and then just start to close. There's open. So right there. So now we can go ahead and take a look at that exhaust. I had bumped it around a couple times, make sure it was all the way down, and then just start coming up. Now I can take a look at it. Get my feeler gauge in there on the exhaust setting. Take a look. So it actually seems pretty good. Very common for me not to have to make any adjustments. Again, I don't put a ton of miles on the car, race it a couple times. I haven't done this since last season, so I might only have to make a couple adjustments as we go. That one looks good. Let's move on to that intake. Okay, so now we can start taking a look at that intake side of things. So now we're gonna make sure that that exhaust valve is just starting to close. That would indicate that the piston is done its power cycle, coming back up, pushing exhaust gas out, so that intake valve is definitely closed at that point. So let's just watch for that exhaust to start cracking open just a touch. Right there. So let's take a look. Intake side of things. Oh, so that's actually backed off a touch. So we'll go ahead and we'll make an adjustment there. Okay, I'll try to show you guys as best I can. So basically got to crack it loose. So you get this guy here. Allen head in, this guy on, breaker loose. Let's get our feeler gauge in there. Yeah, kind of loose. Now we can tighten up the adjustment. Feels better there. Click her in. Let's see how she goes. Oh yeah, that's much better. And then I give her a double tap after. Yeah, just pushing in. So that's set now. So now basically go ahead and just follow the process through the whole valve train. Okay, so that side's all done. Just got to go to the other side and repeat the same process. Okay, so I went ahead and got the other side lashed as well. So it's all done, back together, ready to rock and roll. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to install this mechanical fan. So before you say anything, I'm fully aware this is going to eat 10 to 15 horsepower, but it's only going to be for the street. I can take it off with 4 bolts whenever I go racing. So no worries there. I did see the Engine Masters episode where these flex fans were like the better ones that didn't eat as much horsepower as like clutch style fans or something. So it's lightweight. It looks pretty nice. The keen observers to the channel will notice I already redirected the fuel line to make sure I got lots of clearance here. So let's go ahead and bolt this guy up. And like I say, it can come on and off with 4 bolts. It's no big deal at all. In fact, check this out. No fan. Fan. See? Just that quick. Okay, so that's going to close it out for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Really excited about this year. Plan to do some more street driving. I'm going to go to a Mopar show up island. I'm going to try to get drag racing again. I don't know where that'll be, maybe a quarter mile over in Vancouver. And I did hear about an 8th mile street race that might be happening too. So stay tuned for all of that. Really excited about this year. Thank you guys again so much. We'll see you soon.